Good evening. We are beginning. This is a tradition that we've begun some years ago. It's Veterans Day Shabbat, and we always begin with the presentation of the colors. And we're delighted this time to welcome the Junior ROTC Cadet Corps from Baker High School. Please rise. The presentation of the colors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry, colors. March arms, march, left, left, left turn, march, left, left, forward, march, left, 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 right, right, left, 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 right, right, left, color guard, halt, order, colors, follow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Baker, Junior ROTC, we appreciate your being here this evening. We are seated. It has been perhaps 20 years, 100 years, that we began this new tradition of recognizing our veterans, those still amongst us, and those whom we have lost. And we have this service on the Friday night always closest to Veterans Day. We need to take stock of the expressions of loyalty. These past days, weeks, months, even some years, I don't hear too often the term loyalty. And then it occurs to me, it's much more than a word. It's a value that's lived. And those who are espousing this value of loyalty have no need to mention it by word. And we're all for the better as a result of the touch of those who are loyal, valiant, devoted. These are the underpinnings of our nation every day, not just one day in November. And now we turn to Shalom Aleichem, which we might consider an anthem. We have a number of anthems within our Jewish lexicon. This is an anthem of peace. It's a declaration of sorts. It's an expression that peace is not only within our home, but it has to be lived and appreciated outside of our homes. And indeed, angels who visit us now are the couriers of this anthem. Angels will take our words, our song, our prayer out into the world and convey it elsewhere. Think of the power that we have by sending forth through an anthem on angels' wings a message of the essential nature of peace. In the Siddur, on page number 5. Shalom Aleichem, Molachei HaShoret, Molachei Malachei Hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Po'achem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have a number of handouts this evening. We have 2 songs and a prayer on the back table. And at this point, we begin with a prayer, the uppermost stanza. It is the soldier. And if you will, please join with me in this reading. The first stanza on the top of this handout. We'll wait a moment. We have 2 handouts, we have 2 prayers, and we do have a song as well. At the top of one page, the prayer begins with, "It is the soldier." Aloud, please. It is the soldier, not the legislator, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the civic organizer, who has given us freedom of assembly. It is the soldier, not the lawyer, who has given us freedom of having a fair trial. It is the soldier, not the legislator, who has given us freedom to vote. It is the soldier to whom our gratitude is due. And now on the Siddur, on page number 18, on the English side, page 18. The first 2 stanzas on the top of page 18. Call out to Adonai, all the earth, break out in joyful singing. Sing to Adonai to the music of the lyre, lyre and voices making music together, with horns and shofar cries, trumpet the presence of the sovereign Adonai. Let the sea and all that is in it roar, the earth and all who inhabit it thunder. Let rivers clap hands while mountains sing in harmony, greeting Adonai who comes to judge the earth, judging the world with justice, the nations with truth. Judging the world with justice and the nations with truth. This is from a religious poem. It's a psalm. This is 3,000 years old. This expresses our ancient and ongoing and continual virtue of what the world needs to operate. Justice and truth. And even as we call to mind the loyalties of the soldier, you see before us an empty chair. And some are familiar with this because they've been here for the past 2 weeks, and some may not have been here recently. But a little over 2 weeks ago, we adopted a man named Yotam ben Chaim, and he's been missing. The name of the village is Kibbutz Kfar Aza, which literally means the kibbutz of the village next to Aza. He's 28 years old. And we have no way of knowing if and when he shall be returned. We have no way of knowing the status of his family, which must be, of course, broken and shattered. We have an empty chair here. And as we remember the role played, the role lived by our soldiers and our veterans and those who defend our nation, we remember the role made by civilians in every country dedicated to law and justice and order. In the words of the Psalm, making a difference. We remember Yotam ben Chaim, making a difference. And that's why we have this first song here. It's Hillel's song, because we're supposed to make a difference in our world.
There lived a great teacher, Hillel was his name. People would ask him all kinds of questions, his wise answers brought him fame. Someone once asked, in a place that is evil, how are we supposed to behave? Hillel thought for a moment, he pondered the question, and this is the answer he gave. B'makom she'ein anashim, b'makom she'ein anashim, b'makom she'ein anashim, Hillel omer, ishtadel le'iyot. Has two inclinations, for evil and for good. Hillel knew that it's not always easy to act the way we should. So we look to our parents, our teachers, our children, and we search for the answer inside. And in the struggle between what's right and what's wrong, we let this lesson be our guide. B'makom she'ein anashim, b'makom she'ein anashim, b'makom she'ein anashim, Hillel omer, ishtadel le'iyot. Where people are acting inhuman, evil, and we don't know how to behave. If we stop for a moment and ponder the question, we'll remember the answer he gave. B'makom she'ein anashim, b'makom she'ein anashim, b'makom she'ein anashim, Hillel omer ishtadel lehiyot, Hillel omer ishtadel lehiyot, Hillel omer ishtadel lehiyot b'makom she'ein anashim, in a place with no human, that's just trying to be
B'makom she'ein anashim. Each one of us has to be that ish, that mensch. L'charodi, on page 23, the first 3 stanzas, and on page 25, the concluding 3 stanzas. L'chadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmiyanu el hamiyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem ultifer Ret filiti lo lechadodi lekrat kalam p'nei Shabbat nekabelam lechadodi lekrat kalam p'nei Shabbat nekabelam lekrat Shabbat lechuven elcha ki himekor habracha merosh mikadem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavot chilo lechadodi lekrat kalam p'nei Shabbat nekabelam lechadodi lekrat kalam p'nei Shabbat nekabelam Mikdash melech ir melucha kumitzi mitoch hafecha harav lok shevet b'yemekabacha v'yachmol alayechem lo lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabelam lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabelo v'hayu limshisa shosayich v'rachaku kol mevalayich yasis alayich Elohayich kimsos chatan al kala lechadodi lekrat kala Pene Shabbat nekabelam, lechadodi likrot kala, Pene Shabbat nekabelam, Yaminu smol tiferotzi, Viet Adonai ta'aritzi, Hol Yarish ben partzi, V'nismecha v'nagila, Lechadodi lekrot kala, Pene Shabbat nekabelam, Lechadodi lekrot kala, Pene Shabbat nekabelam, Boi v'shalom ateret balach, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzohala, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, Boi chala, Lechadodi lekrot kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi lekrot kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. And we were seated, the Psalm on page 27. On the English side, page 27. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai. How subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand, the fool does not comprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely. The Hebrew says ki. The English says, surely your enemies, Adonai, will perish. And it says, surely all who commit evil will be scattered. And the optimism of the poet emerges perhaps, I won't say from the fact, but from the experience that this was prepared in translation 6 or 7 years ago. And you and I are seeing enemies, and they don't appear to be perishing. The Hebrew, ki hine yovedu. Ki means, could be if, could be when. If, when. It's a poem. Maybe this is the time that we turn it into a prayer. When, and let it not be someday, but let it be soon. That people who attack babies, they need to be destroyed. People who attack those singing and dancing. Israel has hippies too. It was hippies at a peace dance festival on Simchat Torah. When hippies dancing for peace and in song are attacked brutally, those perpetrators need to be destroyed. The last two stanzas, speaking of righteousness and people committed to tzedek, and I'm thinking about our veterans, those who serve a higher calling. The last two stanzas. Tzadika tamar yifrach kerez balbanon yiske shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yofrichu od yenovon beseva Tishenim Verananim Yiyu Lehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri V'lo Avlatabo. There's a natural break here at the service. This is the preliminary service, and then Baruch Hu brings in the Ma'ariv. We're going to pause right now because this is Veterans Shabbat. And with gratitude and humility, we offer our deepest appreciation to all those who have served and continue to serve on behalf of our nation. So those who are veterans, those who have served, please rise at this moment and mention your name and which branch of service, please.
My name is Irving Silver. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force.
And thank God for the U.S. Air Force, because that's how you met Francis at the,
Ahavas Chesed
was it a bar or bat mitzvah? I don't remember the.
Bar Mitzvah of Mark Burson.
Thank God. Just a few years ago.
Neil Sass, both Army and Public Health Service. Is that all?
Okay, Michael Coleman, during my career, I was a backbencher for most of my Army career, and I was in the reserves, although I was mobilized 3 times, and so I spent a couple of months in Garden Spot, Saudi Arabia for a couple of months during Desert Storm. I spent a couple of months in Kuwait for Operation Iraqi Freedom, which was about 12 years later. And I spent several months in Germany during the Bosnia, doing the mobilization for the Bosnia conflict. So I spent a little time abroad, but as I said, for the most time I was safe in the United States, and I was a backbencher.
So, Sean?
John Webster, I was in the Army.
Mayor Mitchell was in the Korean War in the Army.
Abe Mitchell too?
Yeah, Ed Mitchell was stationed in New York, and also, like he told you, Benjamin Yosef Mitchell was also.
Joe Mitchell, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
but he never went overseas.
And Brent, did you serve?
Not in the U.S. Army.
But in the IDF?
Yes.
And if anybody wants to mention the name of a family member who may not be with us any longer but served, that's greatly appreciated and appropriate at this time. Please rise and mention something of a family name. So, Katie, mention the names of your relatives, please, louder.
My father, Rufus Sizemore, and my grandfather, Henry Phipps.
And Rufus was a submariner.
Yes.
Career.
Yes, career. Spent a lot of time under the water.
And your grandfather?
He was on ships in World War II. He spent a career in the Navy and was actually over in Honolulu when Pearl Harbor was bombed. He survived.
Thank God. Thank you. Maddie?
My father, Arnold Foreman, was in the Army Air Force, is what they called it at that point, and he was a captain because he was a doctor.
How, was that World War II?
Yeah.
Mhm. Susan?
My dad, Morris Mayer, was in the Army, and he served in World War II. And my grandfather was also in the Army, World War I, and I don't know where he was.
Thank you. Ricky?
My father, Saul Brown, was in the Air Force, World War II.
My cousin
What are their names, Megan?
I don't, well, my cousin, one of them is Scott, and the other one goes in World War II. I don't know his real name, we just called him Uncle Buddy. I don't know, I never knew his real name, he died when I was 7. And then my grandfather's name is Jerry
Jerry what?
Hofstetler.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Were some of the Grodzkis?
Yeah, Charles, my brother Charles.
Charles Grodzki was in the
National Guard.
National Guard. Jimmy?
My father, Martin Grodnick, served in the Coast Guard.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you to Martin Grodnick. He guarded Urban. He guarded Brooklyn. And Brooklyn. He did a darn good job. Thank you to Martin. Martin single-handedly made sure Brooklyn's safe from Germany. Thank you, Martin. So you said Urban?
I said Urban.
You said Urban.
Urban was in the Air Force. But he did meet a wife there.
Dr. Michael?
My father, Jules Cohen, was in the Greek army in the late 1930s and early 1940s.
My word.
So he was a physician. He spent several years in the Greek army, and then escaped on a ship from Greece to New York. One of the last ships that left Greece when the Nazis sort of took over Greece.
Well, wow. Anyone else? And to those joining in online, if you have family members or beloved ones who served in one way or another, we extend our gratitude and our prayers as well. So it's all these individuals and all their families that have preserved our nation, because when people serve in the military, the families who are behind the scenes are serving as well. We rise for the Borchu. The Borchu is on page 39A. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach. Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam v'ed. And as we're seated, the first bracha on the English side, please, on 39A. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chalein olam v'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. On page 40, on the English side, it's the last little line, the little red arrow. It's a very simple prayer, but it's urgent and essential. Do not ever withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people Israel. Do not ever withdraw your love from us. let us never imagine a world without love. Let that never be in the most terrifying of all nightmares, that we would be conceiving of a world without love. Shema is on page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, ובכל נפשך, ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Moment of silence, or perhaps considering page number 42. Adonai Elohechem emet. Mi chamocha is on page 44. Mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nerar b'kodesh, norah tehilot Seifele, Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, Bokeh yam lifnei Moshe, Zeili onu v'yamro, Adonai yimloch la'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar, Kifad Adonai et Yaakov, Ugalo mi'ad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. As we turn to page 45, the Hashkivenu, I ask you also to turn to the handout entitled Prayer for America's Military Personnel. The Hashkivenu is an urgent prayer for each and every one of us to lay one's head down upon the pillow at night in peace and in safety. And tonight and every night, we need to remember that there are many people across the world, and they're in the most hazardous of all circumstances because they're dedicating their lives to keeping us as safe and secure as humanly possible. These are our military. And so within the framework of Hashkivenu, of a search for peace for each and every one of us, we also seek protection and hopefully a sense of Hashkivenu, peace for our members of the military. It's the first 3 English paragraphs and then that first concluding line here in the prayer book. Ribono Shel Olam, Sovereign of the universe, we invoke your blessings upon the members of our American armed forces, those brave men and women manifesting great valor, courage, resolve, and commitment who protect us all. Shield them from harm and from pain. Assuage their loneliness and sustain their faith in the face of the formidable enemies that they confront on a daily basis. May all of their efforts be crowned with victory and the assurance that we who depend on their courage appreciate and understand the great difficulty of their work. Most of all, we offer up the ultimate prayer that they return to the loving arms of their families and a grateful country safely, speedily, and in good health. Out of their sacrifice, their courage, and their devotion, may we all be privileged to know and savor the blessings of true peace and security. The last little 4 lines on page 45, ensure our going and our coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. 46, v'shamro v'nei Yisrael, et ha-shabbat, la'asot et ha-shabbat, ledorotam barit olam. Beini u'bein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamro v'nei Yisrael, et ha-shabbat, la'asot et ha-shabbat, ledorotam barit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz, v'shamro v'nei Yisrael, et ha-shabbat, la'asot et ha-shabbat, ledorotam barit olam. Uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, v'shamro v'nei Yisrael, et ha-shabbat, la'asot et ha-shabbat, ledorotam. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, milteche b'chayechon v'yom echon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, bagala, bagala, uv'izman kariv, v'imero, amen. Yehi shemei Rabba mevarach, la'olam l'yom Maya Yid Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitram v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha B'rechu Leila Min Kol Berchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiran B'olma V'meru Amen. We offer now a silent prayer, the traditional text before us, for which we rise, page 47 to 52. There's also a poem on the same page as It is the Soldier, which you might consider as a silent private reflection at this time. About 2 weeks ago, I was speaking with Lois, Francis and Irving's cousin in Yerushalayim. And Lois shared with me the news. It was October 16th. A rocket fired by Hamas had landed in a neighborhood in Abu Ghosh, which is outside Yerushalayim. It's a primarily Arab village. And there's a 19-year-old Arab man. His name is Majid Ibrahim. He's the youngest of 4 brothers. And he was traumatically wounded by shrapnel. He was evacuated to Hadassah Hospital. And the doctors there worked on him to no avail. And this 19-year-old youngster who had already been accepted into Hebrew University, yes, Hebrew University in Jerusalem, to study computer science. This Arab man who had been accepted into Hebrew University to study was treated at Hadassah Hospital. And this young man, youngest of 4, died. And I've been thinking about this, what it means that an Arab man from an Arab village, and the first recourse was taken to Hadassah Hospital. And we all know Hadassah because many people in this room and many people before us in generations prior to us, our forebears, have supported Hadassah for oh so many years. And I grew up, and I'm sure many of you grew up, on hearing the name Hadassah. And I'm sure many of us grew up hearing the name Hebrew University, first founded in the early 1900s. And I mentioned that this young man, Majid Ibrahim, 19 years old, was killed because of not just a missile, but because of the explosions of hate. And when hate explodes, it consumes everything. It's not localized. Arab hate will only consume Jews, or Christian hate will only consume this, or Muslim hate will only consume that. Hate explodes and burns everything in its path. I'm looking at 2 articles in my mind, and they both happen to be on November 6th. And one strikes me because I know the neighborhood. Westlake Village. I have cousins who live not too far from Westlake Village. The man is Paul Kessler, Jewish, 69. He's dead now. He was standing with a group of Jewish people holding signs, and across the corner in a certain neighborhood of Westlake Village, there was a group of people holding signs and shouting, supporting Palestine. And a man from that side came over and got into a heated exchange with Paul Kessler, age 69, and lifted up his megaphone and struck Paul Kessler to the head. And Paul Kessler fell down and hit his head further on the pavement. The ambulance came in, rushed him to the hospital, age 69, and he died later in the hospital. Hate explodes and consumes everything in its path. Not knowing how to restrain one's passion burns everything in its path. And also on November 6th in Indianapolis, I've never been to Indianapolis. There's a woman, she was 34 years old, and she's driving along, and she saw a house. And on the house was a picture, or so she thought, of what looked like a Star of David, a sign on the house. And she saw next to it on the sign the word Israelite. So thinking that it was a Jewish house, she rammed her car into the house. Turns out it happened to not be a Jewish household. The irony is that it's a household where there's a small group of people known as Black Hebrew Israelites, which is a very complicated, multi-leveled, I won't say organization, but compendium of different peoples and groups, some of whom have been off and on over the years anti-Semitic. So the irony is that this woman in Indianapolis, 34 years old, who's so consumed of hate, seeing what she thought were Jewish symbols, tried to destroy a house because she thought there were Jewish people inside, and instead only accomplished the destruction of property and bringing some injury to people who actually are not Jewish. Indianapolis. Hate explodes and consumes. We have two sides of our heart, the left side and the right side. If we nourish hate in even one side, it will pollute us and lead us to the destruction of anyone, everyone. You can't constrain and control and curb hate. It goes out and it burns. I'm thinking of this because the other night I was in Atlanta for the funeral of our friend Cy Lichtenfeld, Ahavas Shalom. And I was standing near the coffee counter, near the front desk. And a woman came up to me and she was getting coffee to go to her room. And she said, "You don't know me, but I see that you have a yarmulke on your head." And she said, "I am praying for you, and I'm deeply concerned for Israel and Jewish people." And then we were going up in the elevator. I was on floor 2. She was going up further up. And as I was getting out on my floor, she reached out and gave me a quick little hug. I said, "What's your name?" "Beverly." I said, "Thank you, Beverly. You're now in my prayers." She said, "What's your name?" "Stephen." "Stephen, you and your family are in my prayers." I probably will never see Beverly again. Chance encounter at the little coffee counter by an elevator between two strangers. She could have chosen to not say anything. She could have chosen, like this woman in Indianapolis who saw a kippah, to have said, "I've heard too many stories about Jews, about Israel, and I'm going to choose to be hateful, antagonistic." But instead, she chose to see me as a person and to remember that Jewish people and Israel matter to the world. I'll never see her again. But one side of my heart is now more full because of her touch. I wonder how we can help to nurture both sides of people's hearts out there in the world. What is the message that we can share so that people will not strike somebody on the head with a megaphone on a street corner and not drive a car into a home because of seeing a sign on a wall? In a moment, we'll be singing Shalom Rav on page number 51. For 1,900 years, every single day, Jewish people have said a private prayer, maybe in home, maybe in synagogue, or maybe a public prayer within the community. And the last word is always peace. We do not teach our children to go out with knives, chanting, "Bring blood." We do not teach our teenagers to build a small missile factory in a person's apartment next to a child's bedroom. We teach Shalom Rav, and in a few minutes when we conclude the service, we teach Oseh Shalom. These are the messages that we must go forth and distribute and disseminate in our world. Shalom Rav on page 51.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Achad Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Achad Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Achad Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha טוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. 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 תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך.
We rise, Yelenu, page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol latet gedula liyotzei breshit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamon Onam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Noteh Shamayim v'Yoser Haaretz Hu Moshav Yekaro B'Shamayim Mima'al Ushkrinatu Zo Begavhei Meromim Hu Eloheinu Ein Od Emet Malkeinu Efes Zulato Kakatu B'Torato V'yadata Hayom V'hashevota El Levavecha Ki Adonai Hua Elohim B'shamayim mimal v'al haaretz mitachot ein od. Kagatu b'Toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yihye Adonai echad U'shema echad. Please remain standing. If so able, remain standing for the Mourner's Kaddish. Mourner's Kaddish is on page number 58. And on this Shabbos, we remember with great love Rose Stein Malkov, Abraham Goldstein, Samuel Lappin, Harry Briskman, Walter Sherman, Ruth Cohen, Jacob Gutlow, Joyce Grodnick, Sharon Milak, Teresa Gutel, Alice Dahl, Abraham Harry Berger, pardon me, Harry Rubin, Sarah Layden, Joseph Witzer, Lena Levine, Molly Gerwich, Carrie Homanoff, Rebecca Sussman, Thomas Schultz, Seal Spendel, Francis Thomas. Thank you, Joy. Water. Thank you, Doctor. Medicinal grape juice. Thank you, Doctor. Pardon me. I apologize. Thank you, Doctor. Molly Gerwich, Lena Levine, Carrie Mayer Homanoff, Rebecca Ricky Sussman, Thomas Schultz, Seal Spindle, Cy Lichtenfeld, Francis Thomas, Stephen Abels. These are members of our congregation. Are any other names to be mentioned tonight? Any other names, perhaps names at home as well? Pardon me, folks. This past week, we lost a number of Israelis. Yehuda Cohen, Gilad Rosenblit, Oren Golden, Binyamin Al-Makis, Meir Moyal, Noam Abu Chaid, Shachar Mitzvah, Yedidya Eliyahu, Yam Gelas, Yondav Levenstein, Lior Arazi, Gilad Nitzan, names that came across our desk. We're thinking of all the loved ones. We're thinking of all the love that has been, especially in terms of this war, taken out of the world. Pardon me? Rose Lubin. Thank you, Minna. Rose Lubin. She was 20 years old. And if you saw the news, Rose Lubin, she'd grown up in Atlanta. And ever since she was in middle school, she'd said, I want to go to Aliyah and serve in the IDF. And she's 20 years old. And she's a Camp Ramah de Rome person. Think of all the love that's been taken out of this world because of this hatred. We say Kaddish together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba Amen. Ba'olma divrah chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chaye echon uv'yom echon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala uv'zaman kariv v'meru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam l'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'olma v'meru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim oleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'meru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom oleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'meru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Those here were invited, Kiddush and Motzi, please step forward. Offer yourselves a glass of grape juice or wine, a piece of bread in just a moment. To those joining in at home, we cannot wait to see you. Let it be soon. May God bless you. You're very much a part of our lives. Shalom.